Everybody values games differently. In the context of a game review, I think it's a losing proposition for game reviewers to try to justify the price of the game. For example, I personally am very price sensitive on games, except for Monster Hunter. It's hard to get me to part with my money for any product. And to me, $60 is a lot of money for anything. If I were to say whether a game is worth its asking price, the likelihood of a yes would be inversely proportional to the actual price of the game, regardless of the quality of that game. For those of you who didn't take 8th grade math, what that means is the higher the price, the less likely I am to buy it. So that's not very useful to anybody else, is it? And then there are people like my nephew who place zero value on his mother's money and who will pay any price for any game. Me telling him whether a game is worth the money is an exercise in futility. If he wants it, he's gonna get it. And what aspect of a game do people actually value? Some people value a game for its challenge, others for its replay value, others for its length. A lot of people value a game based solely on how much fun they can have with their friends. The quality of the game is largely irrelevant in that case, and that explains the popularity of quite a few middling titles. For a lot of people, paying $60 is worth it in order to have it at midnight on release day. And on top of all these reasons that players value games, the publishers themselves will value games very differently from each other. Some games have predictable price drops, while others see only a small one, and then their price will remain relatively high after that. For example, Activision and EA have a time and sales volume based pricing schedule, while Nintendo keeps prices at maximum for 2 years or more, and then only drops them by $10 for the rest of the console's lifespan. Only some titles, that is. Some have very predictable, limited time discounts. These are usually the holiday price drops or the summer sale price drops. Some games retain original price for all of time. Minecraft, Terraria, and Stardew Valley only rarely see small discounts, but they are all ridiculously low priced already compared to what new launch titles sell for. And they are perennially in the bestseller lists. So even the publishers value their games differently at different times for different reasons. And then there are re-releases. Call them remakes, remasters, ports, whatever you want. These are all essentially the same thing. A game that has already been released is being released again. Sure, it might have some new stuff added to it, but it's essentially the same game that you may already own or that has been available to you for multiple years now. Everybody's going to have different ideas about how to value these too. It's got modern graphics? Awesome. For some people, that's actually a negative though. Look at the backlash that Final Fantasy remakes get for this, or the Warcraft 3 Reforged debacle. It's finally on the system I own? Great. Or the converse of that, I already own it on my Wii U. Why are you making me pay for it again on my Switch? I mean, seriously, the best and best-selling titles for Switch for most of its lifespan were originally Wii U games. Third re-release of the same title? It doesn't matter how awesome the game was. When we see this sort of thing happen, many people will think the publisher is getting lazy or greedy or both. I'm looking at you, Naughty Dog. But even still, enough people do value that third re-release enough for the publisher to justify selling it to them one more time. So after all of this, is there any value in a game reviewer trying to justify the price of the game they're making a video about, when we all have so many different ways that we value games for ourselves? Outside of the edge cases, I really don't think it makes sense. For example, a game that is priced well above the industry standard for similar games. In cases like these, price should definitely be discussed. hopefully in the context of not paying that much for it. And at the other end of the spectrum, there are games that are very low priced, but are asset flips or shovelware or just so horribly bad that they aren't worth it at any price. There are even some $60 games like this. Basically, if a game is so bad that you wouldn't even play it for $0, then that should be mentioned too. Aside from the question of whether there is any value in a reviewer trying to justify game prices in their reviews, is it even the creator's responsibility or their job as a reviewer to do so? Mention the price, yes, but to justify it? Absolutely not. That's the responsibility of the publisher and their marketing team. Or maybe it is the reviewer's job. Perhaps they're getting paid to make the video and you just don't know about it. Perhaps they are an extension of the marketing team. A good rule of thumb, if it sounds like a sales pitch, it probably is one. There are a few videos on YouTube that talk about this issue in a lot more depth, and it's definitely worth your time to explore them. Wait, did I just try to justify the price of your time? But the net of it is that game review channels and video game publishers are in a symbiotic relationship where doing things a certain way works for the benefit of both parties. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And this is aside from the actual paid reviews that exist. YouTubers like to gloss over or dance around or minimize the extent to which their videos are sponsored by publishers. And most of them are even in violation of Federal Trade Commission standards on sponsored content. So are these the people who should be telling you whether a game is worth your money? Because their answer is almost always going to be yes, it is worth your money. It's worth it to their bottom line that you pay your money to the publisher. As for myself, I'm going to let you decide what you're willing to pay for any particular game. I'll let you know what I think of the game. Do I like it or not, and why? And you can make up your mind on the price. I know this is my first video on this channel, but I'm not new to YouTube. I've got well over 100 videos on my Monster Hunter channel, and so many more on the way. I'll be uploading all my video game content that isn't Monster Hunter to the channel you're watching right now, which includes game reviews, impressions, humor, hardware reviews, and basically anything video game related that I feel is worth talking about. And your support is critical right now as I get this channel launched. Your likes, comments, and subscription have a ridiculously OP effect on the algorithm at this stage of my channel's growth. So click all the things, comment as many times as you want, and tell me what your favorite game is. Should reviewers try to justify game prices? How do you value games you play? Which games will you pay any asking price for, and why? And most importantly, what's the single best value you've ever gotten for your money? Let me know in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.